Well, hello YouTube. This is a video for my blog post, a Bachelor pen for roosters. Now, I do have two Bachelor pens in my backyard. I have about 8 coops, and 2 of them are Bachelor pens. Now, most people have the conceptual idea that roosters are aggressive, therefore you cannot have more than one rooster in your flock. That is not necessarily true. If you have a large flock, say 20-30 hens, having 2, if not 3 roosters in your flock will be okay. The key to having a balanced flock with roosters and hens is to have about anywhere between 8 to 10 hens per rooster. If not, what you're going to have is you're going to have a situation where your hens are overbred because your roosters keep mating with the same few hens over and over and over and over again, and therefore this is when you get the injury and so on and so forth with the hens. But if you have a large flock, you can have more than one rooster in your flock. Or if you have a smallish flock, say 8 to 10 hens, and you get them from, like a farm or feed store like Tractor Supply or Rural King, there's many, and you happen to get, pick up several chicks, and you happen to have more than one rooster in your brood, that's not necessarily a bad thing. You don't need to panic. Now, what most people do is they will go to Craigslist or so on and so forth, and they will post their roosters either for sale or free, and in the springtime the internet gets absolutely flooded with roosters needing homes that were once thought hens but now were roosters. Well, there is something else you can do. It's called a Bachelor pen. Now, the key to a Bachelor pen are 2 things. One, there can be no hens in the Bachelor pen. Yes, they can see the hens if they're out free ranging, or they can see the hens if they're in an adjacent coop. But if there are hens in the Bachelor pen, there will be all out pandemonium. So, if you have just roosters in your Bachelor pen, they will cohabit very well. This is one of my Bachelor pens. This is the Coupe DeVille. And this is a Bachelor pen for 4 white crested Polish roosters. These are my breeding boys because white crested Polishes are my favorite breed. So these are my breeding boys. I do have more roosters in this. I have about 6, but I've got them in other pens, separated. But these are the 4 that were quote-unquote surplus. So these guys are in the Bachelor's League. I have 4 roosters in here, and I got 2 that are down here. So my other 2 are probably up here at the feeder. If I can, there we go. Yep, here we are. There's one. So these 2 guys are up here pigging out. This is Gerunius and Ganondorf. So those are these 2 up here. And then down below, out here, oops, they've gone over here. This is Castor and Pollux. So these 4 roosters do live in this coop together. There's absolutely no problem with fighting. Yes, they will have a pecking order, just like, a flock with hens would have a pecking order. And if somebody decides he wants to challenge for position, there will be a little bit of a scuffle, but it doesn't last very long, and there are generally no injuries. So these are my 4 boys in here. These are my breeding stock. And I do have another Bachelor pen. Another breed that we absolutely adore are the Silkies. So I have a Bachelor pen for my Silky roosters. Here is my here's the TARDIS. This is the pen that has my Silkies in it, and there's Mickey Smith. He is the one rooster that's in this pen over here, and he's in here with a bunch of girls. And over here I have a Bachelor pen. I have 3 not white crested 3 Polish roosters in here, and these 2 are my breeding stock that I breed with these ladies over here. Mickey Smith is just a resident rooster to keep everything underneath, control in there. And these guys over here are my what you would call surplus roosters, but for my purposes, they are my breeding birds. So I have a black, I have a splash, and I have a partridge rooster in here. And and I use these guys for breeding. And so this is called the Crucible. For anybody who is a fan of Doctor Who, you know what the Crucible is. And yes, all the roosters are named after Wallace. And so this is the TARDIS. The TARDIS and the Crucible both have the silkies. And so this is the pen with all my females, and I have one rooster in here, and then this is the pen with all my extra or surplus males that I wanted to hang on to personally because I like to breed them. And over here is the white-crested Polish girls. So you saw the boys over there in the Coupe DeVille. This is all the women, and I have one rooster in here. His name is Enigma, and he is a modded Cochin. He was supposed to be a white-crested Polish rooster, but there was a mix-up at the hatchery, and that's totally okay because, you know, Cochins were on my list of breeds to have anyway. And so these are the white-crested Polish girls. These guys are, or these ladies, not guys. I breed these ladies with the boys that are in the Coupe DeVille. As I open up this door, I'm trying to let everybody out so y'all can kind of get a good view of them. And so I breed these white-crested Polish girls, and I have a couple Cochins in here too. Enigma is just a resident rooster to keep everything underneath control in there. And so, in keeping Bachelor pens for roosters, the main thing that you need to make sure that you have, besides no girls in the pen, is ample space. Even though they are living together, they do still have their territorial instincts, and they need to have their space in order to roam. These are Bantam guys. They have an outdoor pen that's here, that's completely enclosed. And they have an indoor pen that's underneath here that is also completely enclosed. And during the winter, when the weather is really bad, I'll shut this little access door and keep them underneath here just for their safety. And then of course up here they have a very large, ample coop, enough to suffice, you know, I can probably fit 6 roosters in here, but I only have 4 and I only need 4. And once again, they have all the provisions that the hens have. They have water, they have their feeder, they have their roost. The only thing that they do not need is a nesting box. So if you get like a kit coop, like the one that comes in the boxes, you can still attach the nesting boxes to the coop, but you don't need to put shavings in there. It just gives them more room. So they have more room from the get-go simply because you don't have to dedicate space to nesting boxes. And over here is my Klucker crew, and I do have another white-crested Polish rooster in here. Hearing, but I don't see him. He's at the feeder. This is Lestat. He's also a white-crested Polish rooster. I said I had 6, so I have him in here with my girls here. Now, why do I have him with these ladies and not one of the other ones? Well, to put it to you in a way that you can probably understand is everybody gets an interview. So when I have a brood that has multiple roosters in it, I kind of rotate to kind of find out which rooster would be the best with whom. Now, not all roosters are really good to have with your hens. Some of them can be a little bit aggressive during mating. Some of them can be just a little bit aggressive, just kind of, you know, selfish, you know, wanting to, you know, hog the feeder or hog the waterer or so on and so forth. So not all roosters are the best candidates to be with hens. So what you need to do is just kind of rotate in and out, put one rooster in at a time, just watch them. If you have a large flock, like 30 birds or more, put 2 or 3 roosters in at a time. See how they get along with each other and see how they get along with the hens. If it works, those guys stay and the rest of them need to go to a bachelor pen. If it doesn't work, remove the ones that do not cooperate or do not have the best qualities to be with your hens, and then just kind of find your balance, basically. And so everybody gets an interview, and the ones that do the best with the hens get to stay. The ones that don't do the best with the hens, but I still want to keep around for breeding or if I have a situation where one of my roosters that are in my flock dies of either illness or a predator attack, I can pull from the Bachelor pen and put one of those roosters in there to take his place. Now, if you already have established roosters in your flock, you don't need to put an extra one in. Just let those guys be. But if you had a flock with just one rooster, and that rooster died either of illness or predator attack or so on and so forth, and you need a rooster for your hens, you can just simply pull from your Bachelor supply, and he can take he can be the predecessor to take the established rooster's place that is passed. And so there's definite reasons to hang on to a rooster, for some of the reasons that I have highlighted. But if you're like me and you tend to gravitate to the more rare breeds, the breeds that are just a little bit more expensive to start with, and you have to specialize, order them from hatcheries that carry these breeds, getting rid of a flock member simply because it's a rooster is kind of hard to do. And so, especially when you pay $20 per chick, it was supposed to be a hen, but you have a slip up at the hatchery, but 90%, sexing is about 90% accurate. So there's a chance you can still get a rooster, if not more. And so, instead of doing away with that chick or giving it away or selling it or having to call it simply because it's male, you can just set up a Bachelor pen. That was my case. I ordered a bunch of hens. Well, I had a large order. And I ordered a bunch of hens, and I ordered 2 roosters, but I accidentally got 2 more in my shipment, so I ended up with 4. And so, instead of giving these guys away, or getting rid of them, or calling them, I have just simply set them up in a Bachelor pen, and they cohabitate very well. These guys have been in here, they've been together for about 1.5 years now, going on 2. These are all from the same clutch. And so they get along very well. Now, if you need to introduce roosters, you need to do it the same way you would do it with your hens. You would put the flock member in their environment, but in an enclosed, like a dog pen or something, to where they can see and get to know the member without actually having contact with the member for several weeks. Then you can let them out into the flock and they will be fine. So this is an alternative to those that just had got a bunch of roosters, don't know what to do, or those that want to keep your roosters but find that keeping them in the same pen is a bit of a problem. This is a backup plan. So once again, 2 things need to happen. No hens are in the Bachelor pen. If there are hens in the Bachelor pen, the roosters in the Bachelor pen will fight. It is okay if they see the hens. They can see the hens. They can, they can flirt with them all they want on the other side of the fence, on the other side of the fence. As long as there is no contact, there is nothing to fight over. As soon as the roosters are in a situation to where hens are accessible to them, there will be absolute pandemonium. You will have an alpha rooster. There will be one that, declares himself king, and the rest of them will either have to accept that and become subservient roosters, or beta and alpha, or beta and gamma roosters. There will be adjustments in the flock with occasional skirmishes, but for the most part, everybody knows their place, and these guys get along really well. And the boys, well, they're up there in the coop eating dinner. But my silkies that are in this coop over here, the Crucible, they also get along very well. So all in all, I have about 8 roosters in Bachelor pens. And I hang on to them for my various reasons. Your reasons may be different, but those were mine that I have expressed and laid out. So for those that have extra roosters, find yourself overwhelmed, don't really know what to do, but you know that you have to do something. Getting rid of them is difficult, especially in the spring when the internet is just flooded with people trying to get rid of roosters. I have found in my early years that getting rid of roosters is very difficult because everybody's getting rid of roosters and there is just not enough people out there who want the roosters. In some situations it works, but a lot of times you'll find yourself still stuck with extra roosters. Now, if you're in a position to where you cannot have roosters due to your zoning laws or your ordinances in your subdivision, then yes, you're going to have to find a more aggressive way to get rid of your roosters simply because that is in the zoning laws or your neighborhood association laws. But if you're in a situation like mine where you're out in the country and keeping roosters is something that you can elect to do, and you have found yourself with more roosters than you bargained for, but you don't know what to do, or if you want to keep them and still don't know what to do with them, this is a very successful plan. So bachelor pens do work. Roosters will get along with each other. Contrary to popular opinion, roosters will fight when there's something to compete over. If there is nothing to compete over and they have ample food and they have ample water, there is no fighting, there's peace. And so as long as you meet these standards or needs and descriptions, you can keep your birds and you can keep your girls and you will have a happy farm. So I hope that this has answered everybody's questions. If you have any questions in particular that I did not address that you would like to have answered personally, you can always leave a comment below and I will get back to you as soon as I can. So from the Kuntry Klucker farm, see everybody later. Bye.